too late. Like Zechariah. You remember Zechariah when the angel appeared to him in St. Luke's Gospel, first chapter? Told him that he was going to have a son. He's in his old age, and his wife is old, and he's going to have a son, and he's going to be the precursor, and he's going to be great. And he went on and on and on and on. What did Zechariah do? He said, too late, buddy. I am too old. And so is my wife. Can you imagine talking to an angel like that? Huh? I would have wiped him off the floor. Thank God I'm not that angel. But Jesus had overheard the remark, and he said to him, do not be afraid, only have faith. And he allowed no one to go with him except Peter, James, and John. Don't you wonder why dear Lord picked these three all the time, huh? I bet the other apostles were jealous. They say, there he goes again, picking those three. What's wrong with the rest of us? Well, there was a reason. Peter was the rock, the first pope. James was the first martyr. And John was the eagle, the contemplative, the one who saw things no other apostle saw. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Nobody saw that but John. They tried to boil him in oil one day, but it didn't take. He just sang all the way through it, so they pulled him out and put him in Patmos, an island. He lived there till I think he came back at some point, but he died around 103. But he wrote this awesome book, The Apocalypse. So Jesus had a reason for picking these three all the time. Peter would be crucified upside down. James was the first martyr, and John. Now, all you old people, and I'm one of you, I'll be 73 on Saturday, in case you want to send a card. However, you ought to have great devotion to St. John. He did his greatest work when he was in his 90s. So, remember, there is before God no old or young age. There's only souls who are struggling in this body, this temple, to be like Jesus. So anyway, they came to the official's house, and Jesus noticed all the commotion. You say, what commotion? Well, they hired people to weep and wail. That proves that one of my bright ideas is not accurate. I've always thought that the apostles were Italian Jews. Because all they could think of was food. But here I've got a little negative thing here, because an Italian family definitely wouldn't need to hire anybody to weep and wail. So that blows my theory, doesn't it? So he went in the house, and he said, why all this commotion and crying? Ooh. Definitely not an Italian house. The child is not dead. She's asleep. Now, that's kind of interesting, too, because in the scriptures, Jesus never called anyone who had died dead. He only call those who lost their souls dead. He always said they're asleep. Even Lazarus. He said, Lazarus sleeps. He said, well, fine, if he's sleeping, then he'll get well. The apostles, they just never got the point until after Pentecost. He said, no, he's dead. So just imagine that. Are you afraid to die? Jesus only calls those dead that have lost their souls. Let the dead bury their own dead. Ooh. But everyone else, she said, was asleep. Well, they knew she was dead. They laughed at him. So he turned them all out and taken with him the child's father and mother and his companions. He went into the place where the child lay, taking her by the hand. Oh, I bet those people were wondering, oh, what's he doing? He said, Talitha kum, little girl, I tell you, get up. Oh, can you imagine if your child just died and all of a sudden this person comes in, takes her by the hand and says, right. And the little girl got up. Boom. At once, got out of bed and walked around. She was 12 years old. Now, that certainly should be enough, huh? I think what comes next is so awesomely godlike. And none of us would have said it, and none of us would have done it. He said they were overcome with astonishment. They're looking. And he said, don't tell anyone. How are you going to hide that? But the next thing just, I think, is awesome. He said, give her something to eat. I think even Jesus had a little Italian in him. I tell you, who would think of giving that kid something to eat? She probably hadn't eaten. She may have died of a fever or emaciated. And he said, yeah, forget the miracle. Give her something to eat. He did the same thing with the apostles and disciples at the river, the Sea of Galilee. They come in, they had caught nothing, and he had fish. He made breakfast for his apostles. And now he tells us this awesome moment of raising a girl from the dead. He thinks of food. Why? That's where we are. Jesus came down from his level to ours. So thoughtful is Jesus that he thinks of this awesome miracle as nothing but give her something to eat. Why are you afraid of Jesus? So? Why are you afraid? It's a mystery, isn't it? It's a mystery. That we who should have miracles in our mind and heart and be so awestruck by the miracles of Jesus. You know, some people in today's world, these theologians, whatever you call them, They try so hard to take away every miracle that Jesus, explain away every miracle Jesus performed.